There's more to the east coast than its stunning coastline. There's huge, barely tapped potential in the bush-clad hillsides. And it's the Manuka flower that's attracting attention, both from local Maori and from scientists. Because of its unique healing powers, Manuka honey has become hot property and returns are high. It's mostly Maori land, and at times there's criticism that it's not farmed to its potential. But that's changing. It's the Manuka that's exciting the owners. This much maligned plant plays host to hundreds of beehives during flowering. It was a sudden increase in interest from visiting beekeepers that got the trustees thinking. The trustees employed Norm Parata as a beekeeper. Norm Parata's hive-making factory is in the Ruatoria township. Norm lives on a small block of land a few k's down the road, with Mount Hukarangi at his back door. Beekeeping is no 9-to-5 operation. It does include some night shifts, especially when hives have to be moved to another location. Temporary stoppers are inserted into the entrance of the hives to stop the bees escaping. Norm Parata usually works alone, but for this job he gets some help from family members. These hives are heavy. From October to March, the hives owned by this East Coast company are moved and harvested regularly. This isn't a job for the faint-hearted, and certainly not a job for anyone with bee allergies. In the first year of operation, the hive produced a bumper 30 tonnes of honey. Beekeeping looked a winner.
Gwen, can you come and hold this? I don't want to leave it on the ground.
Their timing was perfect. Demand for Manuka honey was beginning to take off, and not just in New Zealand. Whether it's conventional or Manuka honey, the extraction method is much the same to start with. The frames are first capped. Then there is a difference. Manuka honey doesn't flow as readily as, say, clover honey, so the cells have to be pricked to release the liquid gold. The pricked frames then take their place in the high-speed merry-go-round. The honey spins to the outer wall of the centrifuge and drains into a holding tank. Then it's pumped through to filters to remove any residues. It's in the laboratories at Waikato University where you're most likely to find Professor Peter Molan. He's devoted more than 2 decades exploring the health values in honey. As a result of his research, it's now widely accepted that Manuka honey contains special healing qualities ideal for treating infection. It's what he calls UMF, unique Manuka factor. Although Professor Molan was convinced, initially his view wasn't shared by the medical profession.
It took a while to get medical people to give it a try after we had shown that Manuka honey had some unique antibacterial properties that gave it the potential for being a lot better than other honey. But once at Waikato Hospital they did start trying it on cases where nothing else was working, it showed that it was very effective in clearing up those infections.
But the research hit a snag. It was found that some batches of Manuka honey attacked bacteria more effectively than others.
When Manuka honey was first sold for its antibacterial properties, people thought that all Manuka honey had that activity, which is not the case. It varies very much in the strength of activity. So to protect the consumer, to let them know they were getting the ones with the activity, the producers were putting on the label the level of antibacterial activity, and the Ministry of Health said they couldn't do that. It was a therapeutic claim. So I came up with the idea of just putting a simple rating of activity level without saying antibacterial. So this was where that UMF term came from.
Professor Molan then set about devising a technique to measure the quantity of bacterial activity.
We put the solution of honey into holes cut in an agar plate with bacteria in the agar, and the activity diffuses out, and the stronger it is, the further out it diffuses, and we just measure how big that area is in which the bacteria haven't grown. And compare that with a standard antiseptic, which is phenol, and then we just say that the size of that activity, the size of the zone, is the same as from a particular strength of phenol. So we can think of a number like 10 is the activity strength of 10 is the same activity as a 10% solution of phenol. Activity of 20, that's the same strength as a 20% solution of phenol.
But that still left one mystery. The UMF, or healing power, in Manuka honey sometimes increases when it's left in storage, and no one knows why. And there's another puzzle. Why is it some batches of honey can double or triple in UMF strength, and some batches stay at the original harvest level? Les Stoll and his wife moved to Waihao Bay 6 years ago, bought the local motor camp and ran it successfully. Then 2 years ago, Les got a visitor.
One of the guys who got involved, an old army friend of mine, a chap by the name of Ora Gardner, was a major shareholder in the business, approached me and started twisting my arm, and after lots of toing and froing and negotiating, I decided I would give them a hand, and the rest is history. But we did things a little bit differently in that because it was a new product to me, normally you would probably start with marketing on your own turf on the domestic market. My background was marketing fresh produce, fruit and vegetables, specifically into Japan. So all I did was, when we started, is contacted some of my old friends in Japan and who started networking into other areas that they operated in, and put me in touch with people who could handle the product. From there, we've slowly spread from Japan into other parts of Asia, and that's where we're concentrating our marketing right now.
And why not the local market?
Well, we've found, with the little amount of marketing we've done on the local market, it's a product that the average New Zealand consumer doesn't know a lot about, and the cost of the Manuka honey in particular far exceeds the traditional honeys on the shelf in the supermarkets, your clover, etc., etc. So you'll get a consumer going into the supermarket, seeing a bottle of clover to $3 a punnet, compared to $17, $18 for the same size jar sitting right next to a Manuka honey. So your average consumer's going to go in and say, well, that's far too expensive. Having said that, the people who know the product just can't get enough of it. So there's a bit of promotional stuff that needs to be done, probably on the domestic market. There are a couple of major players in the industry who are doing a good job on that line, but for us at the moment, we're strictly concentrating on our international markets.
Can you tell us a little bit about the development of the label? How did you go about that?
Yeah, that was probably one of the toughest nuts we had to crack, is to find a label that was attractive to mainly the international consumers. And because of who we are, totally integrated Maori company, we're finding that we had some customers who came in and spent a bit of time here with us and got a feeling for the district, if you like, and they wanted a label with a Māori theme to it. So hence the Ora brand with the Maori theme, with a bit of a spiel on what it means, and we've found that it's become really popular.
And what about the future, Les?
It's onwards and upwards. It's pretty, having an unlimited supply of the resource here, you know, the world is our oyster. That's how we see it. We're pretty excited about the whole thing.
And that enthusiasm is shared by Professor Molan, who can see the day when Manuka honey is used widely in medicine.
The usage of honey now as wound dressings for infected wounds is increasing so rapidly that I think it's going to become quite a scarce resource.